Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's Weber this week. Where has the month of August gone? We're talking, what, Labor Day in a couple of weeks? Pretty scary how this month is just running by us. Longtime friend of mine, District Attorney of Seneca County, is in the house this morning on the couch, Barry Porsch, going to talk about his job, his staff's job, and what they do to try to protect our county from the bad guys and the bad ladies, I might add. So Barry is nice enough to carve out 30 minutes of his time. And Barry, first off, welcome to Weber this week. Good to have you along.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
I got a disclaimer. I met Barry, just so you know how I met him. Met him years ago when your mother-in-law was being checked in at the hotel clearance.
Yes.
I remember those days. It's like it happened just a couple days ago. She was a great patron, by the way. She did a nice job. Well, Barry's here to talk about Seneca County and certainly his role. But Barry, I guess everybody should know you by now. You've been around. This is not your first rodeo. Give us a little background of where you were born, where you went to school, and the year you got elected as the district attorney for our county.
Well, I was born in Brookville, Pennsylvania, which is a small town in north central Pennsylvania. I moved up here with my family. My father moved here. He got a job at the Sylvania plant in Seneca Falls, and moved up here while I was in school. I ended up graduating from Menands Academy in 1976. Went right to work for Sylvania myself in the factory. Worked there for about 9 years. Went to work for Kodak. Ended up going to college and law school. Got a job at the appellate division for about 16 years. Then got myself elected to the district attorney position. Got reelected last November.
And certainly, as Barry knows, I am a court watcher. I enjoy the law. I enjoy watching the lawyers do their thing, and I am sort of caught up on court TV. And I even go up now to Seneca County Court and check out what's going on up there as an onlooker. I've always been sort of enthralled and amazed by the way you and your associates and the defense attorneys do their thing. And I might add, I would think that you being, I think I know you fairly well, a laid-back individual, probably did not expect that the Carlson Trial would come down the road, a sad, tragic incident that took place. But Barry, as you reflect back on it, I guess the notoriety that you received and your office received is something you probably wanted to do without, since it gained national attention. Some thoughts about that trial. Basically, how did you handle that? Was it difficult for you to get up every morning and know that you're on Good Morning America?
Well, the case started out kind of slowly. You know, we had a tip that this looked kind of funny, that somebody's son died and the father got a large insurance settlement.
Sure.
So it kind of started out very slowly. Sad part is this guy got away with it for 4 years before we started investigating it. But then it kind of ramped up, and as we went to trial, things sped up really quick. I had a large number of witnesses. Jury selection took a whole week in that case. We were ready to do opening statements the next morning. Defendant had a change of heart, decided he wanted to plead guilty.
And of course, I might add, as another disclaimer, I was in the pool for that trial and made it nearly to the last step. I didn't quite get on, but I was close, and I basically wasted all day. And by the way, Barry can tell you, having gone up to the Seneca courthouse after Waterloo, most uncomfortable chairs I've ever been on in my life.
They're the original wooden chairs from years ago.
They're brutal, and I was up there last week. I'll probably go up today to see what's going on, but I'll tell you right now, baby, if you got a sore back, you're going to have a lot sore when you leave there. I guess that may be, it's suck it up and have some fun if you're going to sit there. Well, Barry's talked about his background, talked about the Carlson Trial, and I was asked to ask you, and maybe you can comment and maybe you can't, the Ovid murder that took place some 30 years ago, Barry, that I guess I want to get her name correctly, the young lady that lost her life, Kristen O'Connell. I believe it was in some 30 years ago in Ovid. I recall reading, as a few of my friends knew you were coming on this morning, and said a couple years ago there was a story breaking loose about maybe your office or your connections had a person of interest or something with DNA. Is there anything you can update us on that? Is there anything that you can fill us in on that murder?
Well, there was an article in the Finger Lakes Times about a month or so ago.
Okay.
We do have suspects. We do have persons of interest.
Okay.
There was DNA testing done in this case.
Okay.
And it's a very active investigation.
Okay, so it's still ongoing, and it's
yes,
okay.
Very ongoing. There's, I can tell you that almost every day of the week there is at least a police officer working on the case.
Very good, because a lot of people have been asking me, and they knew you were coming on, and of course, they're friends, obviously, from the south end of the county that have obviously an interest in finding the culprit that did this. Barry Porsch is our special guest this morning, and Barry, as I look at the law and try to follow the law, in a typical day-to-day in your office, and let's go right now to the point of, let's talk about your staff, because you, the DA, you're the one that gets the notoriety because you're the one that leads the office, good and bad, I might add. If you prosecute a case and people think the person's guilty and you don't get that verdict, something happened in the DA's office. If you pursue a case and get the conviction, which you're seeking, then it's good. But talk a little bit about your staff and take a few minutes, if you would, and tell us who they are and what their role are in your office.
Sure. Mark Sinkowitz is the first assistant district attorney. He acts in my place if for some reason I would be out sick or out of the county or out of the state for some reason. He's been with the office. He first was hired by Rich Swinehart part-time to do strictly prosecute prison cases. He since got a full-time job when Rich had an opening. He's been full-time in the office for about 8 years now. I think he's been there probably 11 years total. He just had a big win, as you know, in the Bill Cram, one of the Bill Cram defendants, one of the three. The second assistant is Laura Tryon. She does some county court work and some justice court work. Mark focuses mostly on the county court work. I have two part-time assistant DAs, Pat Morrell, who also happens to be the town attorney here in Seneca Falls.
Right.
He has been in the office. Donna Cathy hired him. He's the longest-serving employee of my office. I'm the third DA now that he's worked for.
Wow.
Dennis Benjamin is the other part-time district attorney. Both the part-time DAs handle only the justice courts. We have two secretaries. Barbara Brewer is my confidential secretary, and Lisa Calabrese is the other secretary. We have one investigator. He's a part-time employee. His name is Frank Smitter. He's a retired New York State police officer. I think he had 27 years with the state police. And then we hired him as the investigator, and he helps us with a lot of things.
Well, it sounds like your plate, your bucket is always full with things to do. It is like you guys come to the office and say, got nothing to worry about today.
That has never happened. I worked all day Saturday. I think I was in the office Saturday till about midnight, went in the morning.
Now, we're going to continue to talk to Barry, and I want to ask him about plea deals, and I've always been curious about how that comes about. Who makes the first step? What are the backgrounds? That's always kind of made me curious, the plea deal scenario. Why do we do that? I think I know why, to try to reduce the number of cases that go to court and to trial, but I want to talk to Barry about that and get a whole lot more from Barry. Barry Porsch, our guest this morning on Weber This Week. It's a Monday. It's a beautiful day, August 18, 2014, but let's hear from the great sponsors that make this show possible. We'll be right back. Eagle Lake National Bank, Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. D.A. Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater and Lions, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. Lizard's Tailgater Lounge, Waterloo, best mott sticks around where you can enjoy a drink and some laughs. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com, awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in central New York. Wilson Press, WPress.com. Seneca Falls, Rich Rickey, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Rickey, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. And welcome back, everybody. It's a dog with you. Weber This Week, our special guest, Friend of mine who I've watched him do his work for since he's been the DA, Barry Porsch, is kind enough to carve out 30 minutes of a very busy schedule, I might add. As he pointed out, he worked most of Saturday and most of Sunday. By the way, before we get back to Barry, a reminder of golf. Seneca County Country Club has their cash bonanza this coming Sunday. If you would like to take part, it's a great opportunity. It's $100 a ticket. You get golf cart, food on a course. You get open cocktails, you get dinner, and then they have some drawings for some nice awards. Again, that's the Seneca Falls Country Club Cash Bonanza coming up this Sunday, the 24th. They have 2 shotguns, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. I believe the afternoons might be sold out yet. I'm not sure about that. But if you have interest, call the Pro Shop down at Seneca Falls, and they'll get you a ticket. And, Jimmy, that number is 315-
call the Pro Shop, 315-568-5202. And the Cash Menands is one of the best events that you can participate in.
It's a lot of fun.
Great food, a lot of people, and a great chance to win.
Yep. So check it out if you'd like to join us. I'm looking forward to my brothers coming in from Rochester to play. We should have some fun. Back to my special guest, Barry Porsch. Barry, the plea deal scenario, and again, not being a lawyer, just having read about this and having people discuss it on TV or radio. Explain to me a little bit about plea deals. When you have somebody allegedly involved in a crime of any sort, does the defense attorney come to you knowing that it's going to go to trial? Is the first step the defense attorney comes to you in your office and says, I want a plea deal? Is that how it works with a plea?
It either they come to us or we put out the proposal.
Okay.
Usually the first step in Seneca County, each county kind of does it kind of differently.
Okay.
Like Monroe County, usually the defense attorney and the ADA get together before they go to court. In our county, for the most part, we meet with Judge Bender in his office.
Right.
The defense attorney, either myself or somebody from my office, we throw out, we'll take a plea to the top count.
Right.
The judge will tell the defense attorney, well, if your client pleads to that, I'll give him this much as a sentence, and then he'll give the defense attorney like 30 days to go talk to his client and decide whether they want to accept it or not. If they don't accept it, then we come into court, do motions, work our way to trial.
So a plea deal is, the reason for plea deal is obviously the burdensome of the court system, correct?
Yes, for a case to go to trial in county court, it's over a year now.
Okay.
From the indictment, and they just couldn't do with the number of cases we have. We a couple hundred felony cases a year. We can't have a couple hundred trials a year. There's only 365 days in a year.
Right.
The court has other things to do besides trials. So it does help the system out if a defendant pleads guilty.
Now, what happens in a case if you see somebody who is inflicted bodily harm, or if you have serious crimes, a situation develops where you have him dead to rights, you have enough evidence to take him to trial, and have a peer of his jurors, no doubt, let's say, going in thinking that the person will be found guilty, thus the sentence may be longer. In those cases, do you feel obligated, or do you tell the victim or the victim's family that you're going to offer a plea deal, or how does that work? Do you show compassion in that regard?
Yes, it's something like that where it's a serious crime or somebody was injured.
Exactly.
We do usually run it by the victim.
Okay. All right, I see. So if the victim says, hey, no, I want it to go to trial, then would you consider backing away from it, or is that something that you...
Maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on the facts of each case. I mean, if it's a very weak case where you might not get a conviction, we're going to have to tell the victim that.
Okay.
And maybe we'll decide to take a plea. I've taken very weak cases to trial. I had a rape case where the victim waited 2 years to report the rape.
Right.
We took it to trial, a 4-day trial. The jury returned a verdict and not guilty. I think because of the long gap, they didn't believe the victim or the defendant. But I'm not afraid to take a weak case to trial.
Okay. And there's another myth that direct evidence versus circumstantial. I have learned, having been a court watcher, that the evidence by circumstance is powerful as direct.
It can be.
It can be.
Yes, it very well can be.
Based, because you put it's like a crossword puzzle, correct?
Yes.
Paint a picture.
If the facts are there, it could be. On the other hand, it could be weak.
Right.
Circumstance. It could be. I mean, direct evidence is where You know, say you actually saw the defendant shoot the victim.
Right.
That's direct evidence, but circumstantial evidence, for the most part, probably is weak, but it could be a strong case too.
Well, Barry Porsch is with us, our district attorney of Seneca County, and of course, you think about a guy that's busy in his office. This is a tough road, and you know, being a DA and having a lot of sleepless nights, no doubt, you probably put your head on a pillow many nights thinking about what's going to happen the next day if you're going to trial, if you have something that develops, trying to keep the county safe. You know, as you've been district attorney, is there a couple of disappointments that you could reflect on that you thought you had a win and it turned out not to be? Is there something that, without specific cases, there's generalities, there's things that happen in your lifetime when you go to court and you try someone knowing full well that you think you got him or her and it doesn't turn out that way?
Well, I did have one case that went to trial that I tried personally myself. It was a bar fight.
Okay.
In Ovid.
Right.
I was firmly convinced the defendant was guilty. And by the way,
right.
I don't prosecute somebody unless I myself feel as though they're guilty.
True.
It's kind of like an extra step that I have.
Okay.
Took this case to trial as a bar fight. This gentleman assaulted some people in a bar.
Right.
To my amazement, the jury returned a not guilty verdict. Ended up talking to a fellow prosecutor next county over, and he says, "Oh my God, you took a bar fight to a jury trial?" I guess the jurors kind of look down when you have a bar fight, people fighting each other. They kind of figure, well, at the end of the day, everybody's even.
Oh wow!
And they did return a not guilty verdict, so I kind of learned a lesson there.
Boys will be boys.
Yes.
Wow, interesting discussion. Barry Porsch is with us, and you know, as I think about it, Barry, I must tell you, having been to the courthouse and probably go up there today, maybe. I am amazed in 21st century technology that the amount of paper that Mark brings in, cabinets, and I watched Your Honor, Judge Bender. He's got folder after folders. Do you think we'll ever see the day where you guys walk in with an iPad and that's it? There's so much paper involved. I was amazed at the number of folders that you guys work with. It's amazing.
It is. It's not getting any better.
There's paper on top of paper.
If you look at a case from 20 years ago, and
right.
we have probably every case file for the last 30, 40 years. By law, we have to save them.
Okay.
The case files were all 10, 20 pages. Now they're all 100 pages, 200 pages. The Carlson case
oh my God.
took up the photocopy boxes, took up 3 full photocopy boxes. So I had to copy every page in that record for the defense attorney. It's getting worse.
Mind-boggling.
And we have to save every file by state law. We have 5 storage rooms in the basement of the courthouse, just full of case files.
There's things that amaze me, and probably I'm glad I brought this up because I was stunned. I mean, Mark and the young lady, Laura, they had a cabinet, which is one after another, pulling out these folders. I went, wow. And Judge Bender had the same issues up there. He's flipping through folder. I'm going, you know, you would think maybe, you know, you go to the doctors today, even though my doctor doesn't do it. They don't have folders anymore. They just come in to have you on the computer. Push the buttons.
Well, you're going to see it today. I'm going to be wheeling that cart in county court about 2 o'clock. And
I'll be there.
It's in fact, I have so many cases that I can't fit them all on that cart.
I got to tell you, you know, Barry Porsch has been nice enough to carve out 30 minutes of his time. And I must tell you, being a legal watcher and not understanding the law, kind of fascinated by the law. And as I've told you, I don't know if I told you, Barry, or not, I'm always amazed on closing arguments. I told Mark, your assistant there, how impressed I was. I was there for the covert closing arguments, the Bill Cram issue, and his defense attorney got up, and I was sitting there, and I love listening to closing arguments. And I like opening, too, but closing I really like. And I thought to myself, God, that guy didn't do this. It was very impressive, the attorney, for him, who did a great job. And I'm going, man, there's a lot of reasonable doubt here. And all of a sudden, your guy gets up, and Mark, because you guys get the last say, right?
Yes.
Because you got to, it's beyond a reasonable doubt.
Prosecutors go first in opening and last and during closing.
Right. And I'm saying, okay, Mark gets up. I have never heard him do closing arguments, and I was just sitting there going, wait a minute, he did it. He had to do it. And it was amazing how it just turns, you know. You got to give credit to these lawyers because they're obviously good on their feet.
Very good.
And
the defense attorney is a former prosecutor in Cuyahoga County, Onondaga County. He's a sharp individual.
Yeah. But I was impressed.
It tells you there's two sides to every story.
I must tell you, and it's not on your side of the spectrum, but I gotta say, I don't know. I've never met the gentleman, the public defender there. My God, you talk about a hard job. That's got to be tough.
Yes, they have a lot of cases,
I mean,
a lot of clients that are not happy.
I don't know. Yeah, I was there last week, and a couple of them wanted a new attorney. Like, you know, I guess that's, you could easily say, of course it was denied, but I think to myself, man, that's one job. That's got to be tough.
It is a tough job.
Because you must get it. Does the court just keep giving you cases because there's no one else to give them to, right?
Well, they kind of don't have a choice. They have to accept those clients. They're being paid by Seneca County to represent poor people, and they can't fire their client.
Oh my God!
Now the client can fire the attorney if they have a good reason and they convince Judge Bender of doing that. Then the judge will appoint somebody else.
That's a tough act to follow.
Yes,
I would think that'd be a tough thing. Well, listen, you know, as we look at the clock, it's almost 4 minutes to 10. I appreciate you taking time out. I certainly respect as a well, not working anymore, retired, but as a taxpayer for many years, I appreciate the work that you guys do and Laura and the ladies do in the office. And I know that your job is a thankless job, and most people look at your office probably, and I've heard that at bars and restaurants. Well, they got to convict this person, and if the person gets off, it's got to be the DA screwed up. It's a no-win situation with you and your office. I'm sure you're used to that by now.
Yes, a lot of times that is. I'm only one player in the whole criminal justice system.
Yeah,
I don't get a vote in the jury room.
No, and let's end on that. In all the years,
I just got one question I wanted to ask,
sure.
And that's, you know, I've lived in this county my whole life, sure. And in Seneca Falls for most of it, and it seems like nowadays there's just so much of a certain type of crime. It's domestics, it's heroin, you know, of course there's DWIs. Oh, yeah. Why? You know, what is there something about our economy or something about our culture? But it just seems to be more prevalent now than it was 20 years ago. Do you have any sense of why that might be, or what we could do to, you know, just kind of cut down on that type of crime?
Well, that's you've touched the issue, Jim. Crime is different from when we were young people in this county. Sure. It's changed. Heroin has really taken over the drug scene. When I first took office 4 years ago, you had you know, some older hippie types who were still using heroin, one or two people, but now heroin is it's everywhere. Our young people, you know, when I was a kid, somebody who used heroin was a junkie, lived in a junk house or whatever, and now you got middle class kids using heroin, and of course the heroin was a lot of crimes that are derived from that, like your burglaries, your larcenies. Then you get some driving while intoxicated by drugs. So it's really taken over this county. I wish I did have an answer for it. If somehow we could make people stop using drugs, but what would possess somebody to put a needle in their arm or in their fingers or in their toes?
It's amazing. Yeah. What amazes me, though, Barry, and I check out the police beat most every night in the paper, and I am amazed that the Geneva Walmart, who continually gets items taken from their store, and they put the name in the paper, and I'm always amazed at that, because it's $150, it's $60, it's $20, it's $8, and I would think that if you had plans to go up to the Geneva Walmart and steal from that place, you would think after reading 75 arrests that you wouldn't go there, because they must have one heck of a security system, right? It's every night.
They do have cameras everywhere in
and
those
I'm
stores.
Going to myself, if I was going to go steal a set of batteries from the Geneva Walmart, and I'm not talking about the Waterloo one, because the Geneva one mentions the people's name, puts their name, why would you select that place? I mean, it's amazing to me. And they just keep going back and they keep getting arrested. You would think maybe if you're going to steal something, maybe you find somewhere else to go, not there.
Maybe those people aren't reading the Finger Lakes Times.
Maybe that's true. Wow. True. I mean, it's probably a bad thing for them. Hey, by the way, our last comment I got to get from you. Most attorneys in this trade that you're in always have a comment. Sometimes they differ, sometimes they don't. The jury system, it's been a great system. I know some people take shots at the jury system. I've tried to get on a couple, and I just missed the Carlson, which obviously didn't take place. You as a prosecutor, a lead prosecutor, and the district attorney, when the jury goes for deliberation, the old myth is if they come back soon or if they stay out long. What is really your theory on that? Is there a theory or is there no theory at all about how long a jury is out? Does it favor the defense or the prosecution?
Well, the theory is it favors the defense because they can't come to an agreement. On the other hand, the Bill Cram case, they were out for a long time. They came back with a guilty verdict.
Okay.
I know my assistant was very worried
Right.
when they were out so long. They wanted to read backs, wanted further instructions, but that turned out to be okay.
Right. So anyways, it's no real sets. It's not cast in stone.
No.
You can't read a jury.
You can't because everyone's different.
And you believe in that theory, obviously. You believe in the jury system is still good for this country. A lot of people take shots at it, but it's the best thing in the country, I think.
It's the best thing we have.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. It's not perfect.
Yep.
But there is no better alternative.
Yeah. And I guess in your experience, how many times have you picked a juror and found out at the end, when the case got resolved, not to your favor, that person had an interest that you did not discover prior to whatever the term is that you use when you go through the process? I'm sure that's happened.
Well, I'm not so sure. I found out where somebody had an interest, but
Right.
I did pick jurors before where then as the trial progresses, you notice certain things about the juror, and I say, well, I guess I should have tried to kick that juror off. Like for example, when you pick a jury and you start the trial, when the juror always looks over the defendant and tries to smile. Now they're having a big smile. You say to yourself, well, I guess I don't think that juror should be on this jury. And when they come back and they're out for 2 days and they send a note to the judge, we got one holdout. So I've seen those cases before where, I wish we could go back and do it again. But you don't know that during jury selection. You hope the jurors are being honest when they answer your questions.
Well, it's tough in Seneca County because it's so many people know everybody.
many
There's
people.
a connection almost to anybody. Everybody has a connection to each other in some regard, so it's got to be tough as you go through, especially for the higher profile cases. It's got to be really tough to come up with a good jury.
It's hard. Everybody knows somebody. You know the defendant, they know me, they know the witnesses. I had one case where during a break in jury selection, 15-minute break, the defendant went outside for a cigarette smoke. One of the jurors went out for a cigarette smoke. They were standing together, shooting the bull.
Oh, my God. Oh, my. Only in America.
Yes.
Well, listen, Barry, I appreciate you taking time out. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Harold. Thanks for having me and Jim. Harold.
I'd love to have you.
Thank you.
We'll have you come back.
Sure.
All right. Barry Porsch, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about a tough job. Let me tell you something. Being district attorney is not an easy job. Whether he wins or loses, he spends a lot of time trying to keep our county safe, and him and his team do a wonderful job. And I thank him for taking time out and a busy schedule to come in and visit with us here on Weber This Week. Hey, folks, let me give you a rundown. Next week we have Peter Pontius, who runs corporate care, helping individuals that are in need, various reasons. Peter Pontius will be on the couch next week. Then we have a day off. Jim's giving us Labor Day off, so we have a holiday. And then on the 8th, we have Bob Shipley from the Seneca County Board of Supervisors visiting us. Then on the 15th, a unique show, Jimmy. What's that? That Ghosts and Goblins?
Oh, you have a paranormal investigator coming in of some
they
sort?
have a big convention coming up.
In Auburn?
In Auburn.
Yep.
That'll be interesting. Then we're bringing in the old friend of mine. I saw him down at Country Club. He's playing with you, Jim. Kevin Nicholson is coming on the show.
Golf professional down in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Kevin Nicholson.
Minders graduate.
Right, son of John. And he will be here on via phone on the 22nd of September. So we got a lot of lineup of guests. And if you want to appear on the program, we'd love to have you. We didn't scare Barry off. He's on the couch. He's going to go to work now. So take care, everybody. Thanks for joining Weber This Week. We'll hope you have a great week. It's going to be a nice week. And the State Fair opens up on Thursday. Take care, everybody. That's a look at sports and Weber This Week. My way.
By becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com. Come on and join the